The UN Security Council will hold an emergency meeting later today to discuss their options following North Korea's latest act of defiance. Council members are likely to discuss the broadening of sanctions on the regime on top of measures adopted just last month, already considered the toughest measures ever imposed on Pyongyang. Joonhee reports.
The UN Security Council will convene for an emergency session on Monday at the UN headquarters in New York City at the request of South Korea, the US, Japan, Britain, and France. It comes less than a month after the Council unanimously adopted a raft of hard-hitting sanctions on Pyongyang over its string of ballistic missile tests. But with the regime seemingly undeterred by these measures by going ahead with its nuclear test, UN diplomats are now considering ways to even further isolate the North and tighten its purse strings. The latest proposals could include a ban on Pyongyang's textile exports and the country's national airline, as well as preventing North Korean guest workers from working abroad. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres condemned North Korea's nuclear test, calling it another serious breach of its international obligations and profoundly destabilizing for regional security. The UN chief said he has been in close contact with all parties involved ahead of the Security Council meeting. Whether the meeting will yield any tangible results will hinge on the support of Russia and China, two permanent, veto-wielding members of the Council. Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin, meeting on the sidelines of a BRICS summit on Sunday, agreed to appropriately deal with Pyongyang following the latest developments. It remains to be seen if this indicates Beijing and Moscow are moving away from the softer line on North Korea they've adopted in recent months, having shown firm opposition to any new sanctions in favor of facilitating dialogue. Both countries have suggested a policy known as a freeze for a freeze, where both North Korea and the US would engage in a mutual stand-down, a proposal that has been rejected by Washington. Joonhee, Arirang News.